We have a new 2025 BMW 5 Series Touring, and honestly, when it comes to BMW, I do think they do have a bit of a problem when it comes to their identity because their entire lineup is completely different, and I think they've become more vulgar in their design language, and gone are the old eras of elegance and pride. When you look at the front face of a 5 Series, you can tell that it is ready to take you wherever you want to go. I don't get that vibe anymore from BMW. Pretty much not any BMW. I actually do like the new 2 Series and the M2. It's grown on me a lot, but that's pretty much the only one. So let's have a look at this article here from Car Scoops. I'm going to link this down in the description, and then I'm going to go into Photoshop and tell you exactly what I think about this 5 Series. Also, what my favorite view is for this, and why I 100% would have to pick the M Sport package for my 5 Series, because the normal one, it has these weird silver things on the rear end that I would literally just rip off. So 2025 BMW i5 and 5 Series Tourings debuted with a big boot and up to 593 horsepower. Set to launch this May. You have soft curves for sharp lines and chiseled surfaces, and that's pretty much what all this new BMW language is all about. You also have the optional BMW Iconic Glow contour lighting, which you can see right here. And this is actually the i5, because for some reason, the press photos that I found are the i5 has the M Sport package, and as I said, with these wheels and these graphics, these graphics I'm not a huge fan of, not the biggest fan of, but they definitely look better than the non-M Sport. So you have 18 or a 19-inch wheels come standard, although 21 inches will be available as an option. You can see these are most likely the 21 inches, looking great. You have the M Sport, the M Sport Pro, and the M Carbon exterior package. In terms of size, it's a lot bigger in all dimensions than the predecessor, as you can see here. If you want to read the full article, as I said, it's linked down below. This interior, though, I'm not sure what's going on with BMW and interiors. I do not like pretty much anything of this interior. I do think it feels way too clinical, and it's not inviting to me at all. But more on that later in Photoshop. So you have the familiar interior with a curved display that consists of a 12.3-inch digital cluster and a 14.9-inch infotainment screen right here. The wagon comes equipped with sport seats and a steering wheel that features a flatter bottom right here. More on this steering wheel design also, of course, in a minute. You have the charging port here on the right side. So this is the first introduction of the electric i5 in a wagon form. You have the base model, the i5 eDrive 40, puts out 335 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, and a range of 348 miles, which is not bad for this type of package, because it's not a bean shape. It's a proper car. You can have this both as an internal combustion engine or an EV, and this proves that you can make good-looking, proportionately looking great cars without sacrificing the range. Top of the line i5 is the M60 xDrive with 593 horsepower dual motor, in this case 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, a top speed 143 miles per hour, and range falls to 314 miles, which is still pretty good. And I would sacrifice these 30-40 miles of range for more performance, 100%, and dual motor, and of course all-wheel drive. Now the thing is, we're not going to get the normal i5 or 5 Series Touring here in the US, but we are going to get the M5 Touring when that eventually comes out, so that's going to be pretty cool. And just to go back in time and have a look at what BMW used to do, E39 5 Series Touring, I do think this is, in my opinion, the best looking still of the sedan and the touring version of the 5 Series. Then we have the Bangle coming in here with his Bangle design, flame surfacing, looking pretty decent as well. I'm not a I really like what BMW did. For example, the Z4, the first generation Z4, was a fantastic design that has the same flame surfacing philosophy as this. And then we come in to the more recent generations. This was also a pretty good looking 5 Series. Let's jump into Photoshop here, have a look at what's going on with the 5 Series. So it's not an ugly design at all. I mean, the front end looks way too messy for me. I would much rather have a much simpler design and also have the grille be in line with the headlights here. I actually might do a redesign for this. on the SketchMonkey channel, because there are so many small details that I would like to change here. It just looks too messy. There are so many chiseled angles and curvatures and sharp corners that don't really connect to anything else. And then we have this black feature up here sticking almost halfway up the height of the grills, and I don't understand the flow of the front end design of the 5 Series. To me, when I look at this, it actually reminds me of a Skoda. I think it is the Octavia version. We don't have them here, but when I lived in Sweden, you saw them all the time. They're pretty common in Europe. Now, looking at the side view, and the proportions here look really great. And keep in mind that this is an electric vehicle as well as an internal combustion vehicle. So we have this very nice shoulder line here that goes almost unbroken. It breaks up right before it meets the headlights, but then you have a clear connection to it in the taillights here. We also have sort of a Hofmeister kink here. I would say it is a proper Hofmeister kink in the rear end. And this line at the bottom is also very beautiful and has a nice connection to the rear end because it continues into the bumper and almost has a connection in the front end. This line sits a little lower to be clearly connected in one line all around the car. Now, looking at the rear end here, and this is of course the biggest change from the sedan, is going to be the touring version. I actually like the proportions here. I saw a spy shot of this before this was unveiled, and it looked like this rear end was too swollen and too round, and it just didn't look good. But now that I see the press photos, we have some lines to remove this additional volume that we have in the rear end, and I think this shoulder line helps a lot with that because it extends all the way back here and then has this connection to this line that we have going across the rear end. And this being the M Sport package, which means that we do have, this is the i5, so we're not going to have any exhaust tips down here, obviously being an electric car, but we still have the same type of package that we're going to have in the internal combustion engine, meaning that these black pieces, again, I'm not sure why they stick up so far up in the bumper like this. I would much rather have it be, maybe, we can have it stick up, but I would much rather have it stick up in this area, in the center, and have a connection to this dip that we have for the trunk, so we have some sort of symmetry here, and not have them just randomly stick up like this in the corner. It just doesn't make sense to me. But still, as I said, it looks way, way better than the non-sport package, which has a super clean design. And then someone at the BMW design department decided to just throw in a boomerang or some sort of silver piece that just ruins everything of the rear end. That would otherwise be a very clean rear end. These taillights look very nice, and it does have some dynamic feeling to them because it's thicker here, then goes into this very traditional hockey stick design, and they don't look too static. They actually look like a BMW headlight, taillight, and I'm really happy to see that. There's just some problems with the lower, I would say the lower half of the new 5 Series are where the major design problems, at least for me, happen. Other than that, it's a very clean design. Now, coming into the interior here, this thankfully, again, have the M Sport package. We saw the other interior with the non-sport package, and it doesn't have the 3-spoke steering wheel. Instead, it has this 2-spoke design, so only 2 spokes right here, and that design for the steering wheel of a 5 Series, that would probably suit a 7 Series better, because I think the 5 Series is still sporty enough to have the 3-spoke design, and it looks a ton better to have the 3rd spoke down here as well. But overall, you know, these interiors that we're going into when it comes specifically, I think BMW is probably they feel the laziest when it comes to interior design, because we don't have any sort of integration for the screen. It just sits up top here. If you look at, for example, Audi, Volkswagen, we all have all digital gauges, digital infotainment screens, and so on, but they implement everything so much better, and they actually put in some effort into making some flow from these big screens into the rest of the dash, and that is non-existent here. You can even see, probably like we have on a lot of other BMW models today, you can see the bracket back here, how this is connected to the dash, the hardware itself. We also have, of course, these crystal lights that we have in the new 7 Series as well, and no physical buttons whatsoever except for the hazard button down here, and everything else is housed within this portion of the infotainment screen. The materials chosen by BMW, these crystal pieces that we have going on in the dash, and in these gauges or dials and buttons as well. Again, I'm personally, I'm just not a fan of where BMW is headed when it comes to the interior. But overall, I think this is a way more conservative design than what we've seen from other BMW models recently, the iX, for example, the XM, and so on. This looks like a more clean BMW design that we're used to seeing BMW come out with. It's just, as I said, the graphics are some of the pieces that I don't understand. And if you're gonna get the 5 Series, please get the M Sport package for it, so I don't have to look at the silver trim piece that we have going on in the lower section in the rear end.